Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where today I finally have on the table Red Strike, Air, Land, and Naval Combat in Central Europe. It's the new game from Vuca Simulations, designed by Rettel. And I have on the table here, this is scenario B3. It's a battle scenario, the North German plains. So I've done it's interesting how they do it, or it's cool how they do it. Just like Knock Paris, they have a bunch of like super small scenarios, like these exercise scenarios. Some of them are just like on a 8.5 by 11 sort of sheet of paper. I guess it's A4 since it's European sheet of paper, and you can kind of just go through it. It's like learn the systems, and some of the later exercises get pretty big, but they're still kind of learning scenarios. And then you get to the battle scenarios, which are usually one map scenarios. So I've done the Fulda Gap, or not done, I've started and off camera just to see if I could put it all together. So it's a 3-turn scenario, the Fulda Gap scenario, and it's got 72 NATO ground units and 29 NATO air units, 42 ground and helicopter or Warsaw Pack units, and 33 air units. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even get through one turn, which kind of leads me to my comment about this game is like, this is just a massive game, and I don't know if it's even practical to play. Like, the amount of research that has been put into this is ridiculous. I mean, just looking at, who knows if he just put in a bunch of books, but like just the bibliography alone is a page, and it's massive. And so he very obviously put a boatload of time and effort into researching this. And this, the rules are great because it's, a Vuca Simulations game, so the rules are well done and well edited, and they make, for the most part, they make pretty much like you can read it once and you get a pretty good idea of it. And the back of the scenario book has a bunch of like examples, so it'll have like here's air defense networks and how they work. Here's an example play using air defense networks. Here's a naval combat example, and they have it for like most of the weird rules or main rules. And then at the end, it has an air playthrough, like a full playthrough of an air sortie, and a full playthrough of ground combat. So, learning the rules is not incredibly hard. The rule book is thick. There's a lot to go through. So yeah, like the rules are kind of pretty easy to get through, but putting it all into practice is just, it's so damn much. Which, like, it's kind of like I would compare it to the book Ulysses by James Joyce. It's one of those books that I feel like everybody has on their bookshelf, and they've read maybe the first couple chapters, but no one I know, and I know some pretty big book nerds, has actually finished Ulysses. And I feel like that's going to be Red Strike. You open it up, you put it on the table, it looks amazing. I love looking through the order of battle and seeing where stuff is. But actually playing it through, I don't think, there's probably a very small minority of people out there with just a ridiculous amount of time and no other interests that can finish one of these scenarios. But it's probably not going to be me, unfortunately, not until maybe I retire or something. But like I said, so this is the third battle scenario. You can see it has 356 counters. It goes for 5 turns, and it just uses this little map. And of course, on the outside, it has all, well, okay, there's going to be a lot of wild tangents. The problem is with this scenario is, see, it says battle map B2-B3, which is this map, But then on the setup sheet, so on the setup sheet, it gives you a bunch of, well, it gives you a bunch of Air Force units that are on the strat map. That basically, let me zoom out. Okay, so you see on the outside of the map, it has all the air base, well, theoretically all the air bases that are going to be used in this scenario, so that you don't have to use these cards. So you see each, there's about, I don't even know, 10 maybe of these airbase cards that if you're playing the full campaign, all of these would have to be set up and accessible. So I don't know how. There's just so much to come. Oh my goodness. Okay, so yeah, so like instead of having these sheets, these battle scenarios are supposed to have all the air bases that you're going to need around the map. However, on this scenario, you have some like the 494th and 495th. I think this is a tactical fighter squadron, maybe. I forget. But anyway, they're at Lakenheath, which is in the UK, which is on not on any of these Allied air base things. It's only on the Allied strategic air base for the UK. I don't even know which one it is. Strategic airbase NATO, no. Strategic airbase NATO US, no. So yeah, so here it's on the strategic map airbases. NATO sheet 3 has Lakenheath, but it's not on here. So even though the scenario setup doesn't say that you're going to need any of these other ones, you obviously do. And to get from Lakenheath to this battle area, you're going to need the strat map. And the strat map looks like this. So see, to get from Lakenheath to the AO around Berlin, you need this to fly the planes to it. And the scenario booklet doesn't say that you need this strat map, so I don't know. But anyway, either way, so let's just assume that all that's good. So now you have all that, and this is just, again, this is just like one of the small scenarios that you can play that isn't like an quote-unquote learning scenario. And so now you have all of this set up. And so the thing is, like, yeah, I just don't know, because on your turn, obviously, the initiative player goes first, and I'll try to do a playthrough of like part of a turn. It's probably going to be really long. But anyway, so you move, and you can move units in front line. You can shoot long-range missile units because you have like Scuds and Lance missiles and Pershings. And then you can also fly strike missions using your Air Force. And so, and you can do recon missions to increase the chances that your long-range missile units are going to hit. And then there's special forces missions, which can do recon or they can do a raid. And so, yeah, I mean, let me see if I can find so here, 2nd Guards Tank Armies, 112th Missile Brigade, I guess, Rocket Brigade probably, is over here northwest of Berlin. And you see they have SS-1Cs, which I think are Scuds. But in one of the kind of most ridiculously, it's both the most ridiculously cool and ridiculously complex. So here's the player aid sheet, which is a book in itself. And so say you're firing a Scud. So you look at 112th Rocket Brigade, fires SS-1Cs. So then you have to come to the player aid book and find missile warhead and hit table. So now you look for the SS-1 C is the Scud B. And then you have to cross-reference that with what your target is. So let's say you're attacking a headquarters unit. So you cross-reference, then you have to choose your armament. Are you using HE, chemical, or a nuclear warhead? So let's say you're using HE. So you have to cross-reference, and now you have a 32% chance to hit. But then if you don't recon it, then you add 20 to your die roll. Anyway, so you do all that, and then you roll. And then over here, the American units, some of them get not in this scenario, but some of the American divisions get Patriot missiles to intercept long-range missiles. So again, it's very in-depth. Nothing is missed. It's very cool. But all of that, just to fire one rocket, probably takes 5 minutes. I mean, you can kind of get it quicker, but because you have to recon, that's a die roll. Shooting rockets, cross-referencing, that's a die roll. Firing Patriot missiles back, that's a die roll. And so as a solo player, it gets a lot. So then usually with what happens with the Warsaw Pact, you shoot all your rockets and soften up the position, and then you can send in your Air Force on strike missions. And this is where it just gets, to me, almost unplayable as a solo player, at least, because I mean, there's, in this scenario, I want to say there's 80 Warsaw Pact aircraft in play, and so let me move it for you. I mean, you can kind of just see, like, these are all the off-map strat aircraft, strat map aircraft that don't have airbase boxes over here. But then you got all these guys, and so I think it's a max of 7 on a mission at a time. So you can launch 7 on a mission, but even that is like, I don't know. It just gets a lot, because then, so you launch your, say I'm going to launch, I don't know, these MiG-23s from Druwitz, which is in 2133. So they're coming out of here. But then, of course, they need escorts. So we're gonna send these MiG-23 MLDs from Khotan, which is in 2027, which is here. So they're coming out of Khotan. So then you have to do a form-up point. So then you have your little form-up point. So they have to get together, so then they fly together. But then over here, the NATO AWACS unit gets to try to detect them, because there's detection stuff going on. And if they get detected, then the NATO unit can try to launch an intercept mission, which they probably will do. And once they launch the intercept mission, you have to like alternate movement until there's interception or there's BVR combat, and all kinds of just die rolling and checking detection ranges and checking BVR ranges. And again, all very cool, all very detailed, and nothing is really left out. But each resolution of, and then you can do multiple sorties on a game turn, so it just kind of increases exponentially how much work you're doing. And yeah, it's just, and then all that to say, usually by then you haven't even done your combat. Well, you haven't even moved your ground forces usually by then, because you're doing your coverage or your softening. And anyway, so yeah, it's, and then we haven't even talked about naval aspect of it, the ground combat aspect of it. Okay, and it probably sounds like I'm complaining or saying it's a bad game, and it's not. It's a very well done, well thought out. It's very obviously one man's passion project, and he nailed it. I mean, he thought of everything. It looks like everything is every facet of modern warfare seems to be covered in some way in this game. It's just, again, just like Ulysses is a brilliant book, but nobody reads it. I just don't know how much this game is going to actually get played, unfortunately, because I think the real bread and butter, so to speak, or the real purpose of this game are the the campaign scenarios. But if we look, like for example, I would love to do this campaign scenario. This is, I guess, 99 red balloons. That's, tongue in cheek. But it's an out of the barracks surprise attack from the Warsaw Pact. So no prep has been made, no mobilization. It's kind of like a what if scenario that the Warsaw Pact just decided to do a surprise attack on NATO. But look, 1,240 counters, 15 game turns, using both the op map and the strat map. And then I love this down here. The variant is to play until game turn 45, which I don't know. I just don't know. So you have 1,200 counters, and I think it even breaks it down. Yeah, scenario size, look. 713 NATO counters, 527 Warsaw Pact counters. And that's air, land, and sea. So you have, setting that up alone will probably take me 2 or 3 days. Like 2 or 3 8-hour days probably. And I'm sure I would mess stuff up, and anyway. And so this map isn't even the size of one of the campaign game's full scenarios maps. Like I have an 8x4 table, and I would not be able to fit this entire game, like the campaign game, on the 8x4 table. You'd probably need 2 8x4 tables, because the map itself, because here is the bottom half of the well, I'm not even gonna be able to get it. Look, it just goes and goes and goes, and then it goes down here. It's huge. And that's one half. This is one half. There's another half that's just as big as this, and then you have to set up the strat map, which I already showed you, and then you have to set up all of those airbase mats, and yeah, and you still need room for your beer at that point. I don't know where you would put that. But yeah, like I said, like, it sounds amazing, but that will be the only game you play in 2024 if you set that up. Because I can imagine one half of one turn would probably take multiple play sessions. And I don't know how you would keep track of what's actually, like, well, for movement, it says you cock them 90 degrees. But yeah, keeping track of everything would just be a nightmare. Yeah, I'm getting exhausted just explaining this damn thing. But yeah, so the campaign game, unfortunately, gonna be like Ulysses. It's one of those mythical things that you have on your bookshelf, game shelf, and you think one day I'll actually play the campaign. More than likely you won't, because where are you going to find somebody that will actually play this, learn the rules, and play it with you for a year or 6 months? I don't know. Maybe you're luckier than I am and you actually know somebody like that and have that opportunity. But for me, I wouldn't be able to have any other hobbies or do anything else. It'd be a second job playing the campaign game for this game, which is unfortunate because it looks really cool. There's a lot of systems that I want to try out in it. I just don't know that it's practical. And yeah, so this scenario is even more complicated by the fact that there's just some setup issues that are unresolved for me. Maybe somebody's already talked about it on Board Game Geek or something, but like these naval units, these NATO naval units, some of them say that they start in port. So for example, this Dutch unit, the JV Himski, whatever, SAG, is here, and it says it starts in port in hex 3114. 3114 is here, which you can see is obviously not in a port. But if you look in the rule book, you can place it in. Are you going to be able to see that? So you place an import marker on it, which must be in a friendly and operative port hex. And obviously this isn't a port hex, and that's for multiple units. I mean, pretty much all these Danish naval units say they're in port, but they're right here, and that's obviously not a Danish port. Same thing with this submarine, I think. It says it's supposed to be in port, but there's no port to go to. So I don't know, that's unresolved. There's at least one Warsaw. So here you have a unit printed twice. So the KHG-5 Mi-24 attack helicopter squadron from the 5th Army, the East German 5th Army, gets set up in hex 2829, but then it also gets set up on one of the airport displays. And yeah, don't know what to make of that. So yeah, there's a couple of little things like that. In this scenario in particular, the folded gap scenario was fine. There was nothing confusing about that setup. It's just in this North German plane scenario, which I'm going to try to give you a taste of in another video coming up. But yeah, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there on this one, show it to you on the table, get you an idea for it. If you're thinking about spending, I think it's $170, this is what you're getting into. So yeah, let me know what you think about the game. If you have it, if you've played it, let me know. If you've actually played the campaign game, let me know how that goes. Really curious to know how much table space you needed, if you needed to put an addition onto your house or something. But yeah, until next time, bye for now.